What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you're excited because the Dallas Cowboys have 4 practices in the books. Today is Tuesday, July 27th, 2021. We are here for a live stream on the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel. Make sure you do subscribe. We are not alone, though. Of course, it's me, it's you, it's all the people in Cowboys Nation, and it is Dave Sturchio, a.k.a. the Sturchman, and Tom Ryle, a.k.a. the GOAT. Boys, 4 practices in the books. The Dallas Cowboys are clearly winning the Super Bowl. Oh. Tom, is that your takeaway?
Oh, of course. I mean, what is there? There's no chance we can get overhyped at this point of the season after unpadded practices only. Of course, all the evidence is clearly there.
Sturch, we're about a week into training camp, and we are actually 2 weeks away from the premiere of Hard Knocks. So where are you feeling? Or not where, but I guess where are you feeling? How are you feeling? Are you excited? Are you excited as you thought you would be? Like, are you experiencing all the natural emotions that come with the beginning of football season?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, this is a different feel because we're finally getting real activity as opposed to last year where it was a lot of virtual stuff and we're sitting around waiting to see these guys on the field. And now you're seeing them. They're about to start hitting in a couple of days, and that's great and everything. Just stay healthy. But the way I see it, I heard something on the radio this morning, not so much in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but I heard something on the radio saying that, I really can't get excited until week 1. And I'm like, You're out of your mind. I am so jazzed up right now. You said it best. They're winning the Super Bowl this year. So it's a fun time to be around because, I mean, this is just the beginning.
Well, I think a lot of people are particularly excited today, and we appreciate those of you who have joined us live. If you're watching us later, don't worry, you missed the party as it happened, but we are here forever. That is the magic of the internet. But we've got Yator K10 Benton says defense stepped up today. A good sign. We will definitely get to everything that happened out in Oxnard on Tuesday. Have lots of highlights to show you. But the big news of the day, boys, speaking of defense, it got stocked up. Malik Hooker, the newest Dallas Cowboys safety, officially joining the team on Tuesday. This is something that has seemingly been in the works for a long time. Some would argue since he first visited the Cowboys over at the Star. Tom, your thoughts on the Cowboys finally giving the number 28 to a qualified safety as opposed to a former quarterback in Jamil Showers?
To me, it's just a question of if DeMonte KZ plus Malik Hooker equals we have a viable free safety on the field for all 17 games of the season, this is a big win for the team. That's the way I look at it. Both guys have injury histories. Both of them seem to be healthy enough to go right now. Now that means that maybe we don't have to worry about whether one safety goes down and really impacting the back end of the defense. Now we've got 2 of them. We still have to see Hooker out there. KZ seemed to get a little bit of a spur from the fact that Hooker was signed because all of a sudden he had a good practice out there with Malik looking on. So I think this is totally a good thing. I'm glad to see the team finally seeming to get serious about the safety position.
Yeah, you mentioned it. We'll talk about DeMonte KZ had one of the 3 interceptions out there in Oxnard today. We'll show you all 3 in just a moment. But Malik Hooker, present, not a participant in practice necessarily, but wearing the Cowboys colors, wearing a Cowboys jersey, and that is something that is very good to see. Sturch, your thoughts on the newest Dallas Cowboys safety?
Yeah, first of all, great song in the background of the practice. But I will say, look, competition creates, better opportunities, creates better skill players. I truly believe even him, like we just said it, him being on the field, just being there, had everybody else stepping up. So that's right away a great sign for the Dallas Cowboys right off the rip. Him being there, he's going to slide right in. According to McCarthy yesterday, we heard a lot about how he'll just kind of be inserted right away. So there's no lag between this, and I think I think this is a great deal for the defense that just needs position, needs depth at every position. And just like Tom said, I think that it's going to make everybody step up. I wouldn't necessarily think that injuries would be a factor. I would just say now scenarios, like who do you want to play in this position? You know what I mean? At 3rd and long, or you know what I mean? Like different positions for different scenarios, and I think that's just a plus all around.
Yeah, I agree very much. I think, this is a team that struggled and has struggled at safety for a long time, certainly last year. Browsing through where Malik graded by PFF's metrics, a little bit below Xavier Woods in some capacities, but I'm very excited to see what he does under Dan Quinn. I'm excited to have a highly touted free agent that isn't a former Dan Quinn player. I know we've all gotten excited about Keanu Neal. We've gotten excited about Damontae Kazee, but this is a little bit different. I don't want to say a little bit less, biased there, a little bit less whatever. But it is exciting nonetheless to have somebody, a high pedigree player. Now what I think we should truly recognize as the 2017 first round draft pick for the Cowboys, since we don't speak about what happened in the actual first round of the 2017 draft for the Cowboys.
Good call.
But nice nonetheless. Nice to see Malik out there. He literally was meeting players. Like, I think that's hilarious. He was literally meeting people as practice was going on, literally saying what's up to them during drills. Tom, would you go through an NFL practice without a helmet on?
Well, he wasn't practicing, first off.
Would you be out there? Would you be anywhere near it like Malik was?
Why not? I mean, I just thought the chill he showed was so cool while he was doing all that.
We've got Jim says, I love Hooker, but lost track of him after college. If he can remain healthy, just wow. You think, Tom, that the Cowboys had a conversation with Matt Eberflus about him? Called up Coach Flus and said, hey, what's your thoughts?
I would have checked anyone that was willing to take a phone call about him. I certainly would hope they touched as many bases as they could reach with that. We'll just have to see now, but apparently he's passed all the physicals. They're happy with him. And I'm thinking maybe that the sequencing of this was just that KZ was a little bit further along in his recovery during the spring, so they got him. Now it looks like Hooker's come around. Everything's checking out fine with the medical staff, and it looks like he's ready to go, and I'm excited to see him there.
On the subject of the medical world when it comes to the NFL, and the subject of the NFL world in general, I suppose, what goes up must come down. The Cowboys were at 90 players. They obviously brought Malik Hooker in, which means somebody has to go. There has to be a departure somewhere, somehow. A lot of people in guessing about this, because we all knew the signing was coming, thought it might have been Darian Thompson. It was not. The Dallas Cowboys moved Mitch Hyatt, who opened the season on the PUP list, the training camp season, that is, to injured reserve. Mitch Hyatt hasn't really ever turned into anything, Sturch. I mean, I don't want to say good for him. We don't want to see him hurt or anything like that, but this is just kind of a means to an end, at least to get Malik Hooker on the team.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all knew a corresponding move was going to happen, and everybody can take their guesses. But when it comes down to it, we are a little deeper at the offensive line via the draft. You know what I mean? We are healthier on the offensive line via, Collins and Smith being back. And so it's a move that needed to be made. I think that it's funny. I read a couple things on Twitter, like, we're going to read about Mitch Hyatt's first start as a Dallas Cowboy in like 2028. You know what I mean? So it's going to be, it's tough sledding for him. He's on that, that chopping block, unfortunately. You know what I mean? And, it's unfortunate for him, but the IR rules are different nowadays, and then, in the event that we absolutely need this guy back, we could bring him back a lot sooner than we used to be.
Tom, you don't want anything to do with Mitch Hyatt. Okay.
Oh, you're done with Mitch.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because he goes on IR now off of PUP, he is not eligible to come back, according to what I was reading on Twitter earlier. So
I stand corrected.
I do want to say that it was actually kind to the team, because now he's still getting a paycheck. It's not like they just cut him and put him out on the street. Mm-hmm. This is another example of them taking care of a guy, even if he hasn't really been able to contribute yet. They're at least saying, okay, look, we're going to give you another chance. We're going to keep you from having to go out there and worry about, making your next car payment or whatever. So I thought that was a really good move, and it makes a lot of sense because, I don't see they're going to miss him at all through training camp or the regular season.
Tom, always worried about everybody's car payments. Swell guy you are, Tom Ryle. On Twitter at TomRyleBTB. It was a day that defense dominated for the Cowboys, which is, I think, something that people tend to panic over. Like, oh my gosh, Dak sucks. Dak is awesome. Don't be that person. But this is training camp. There's no pads on. Sometimes defense just gets the better of the offense. The first notable moment for the defense on Tuesday, fellas, came from Trayvon Diggs, who's having an excellent start to training camp so far. Had the first interception. That's right. First, there were 3 of them of Dak Prescott on Tuesday, and it was an interesting one. You got to, Trayvon talked about over the weekend how he got his hands on 14 balls last year, and he wants those to be 14 interceptions. Not all interceptions are breaking on a route and getting something clean. Sometimes you got to work hard for them. Dak Prescott trying to find Noah Brown, Tom, but Trayvon Diggs said no thanks and took that ball away. Your thoughts?
Yeah, one thing you said about people shouldn't panic because this is training camp, and quarterbacks sometimes will be forcing the ball in to places that they would not try during the game. You know, in a real game, that might have been a situation where he throws it out of the end zone to come back and try again. But it was really good to see the reaction on the ball because a lot of interceptions are going to come off of those ricochets and rebounds and balls that are batted up in the air, which, by the way, was also going on a lot during practice. So it was really good to see that Diggs had the presence of mind to snag that one and start a return off of it, which was, really good. And, you also think that maybe Dak had a word or two to say to Noah for not letting that ball, get through his hand. You're not supposed to do that to your quarterback.
Sturch, Trayvon Diggs, former wide receiver, definitely has solid hands himself. Are you buying the hype? Are you believing that he really is? We all said this last year, led the team in interceptions as a rookie, only 3. I mean, that statement sounds a little bit grander than it really was. But we all said this guy's going to take a leap next year. I think you can make an argument, actually, that he might take a larger leap than CeeDee, just because CeeDee was still so productive as a rookie. He's got further to go, if that makes sense. Do you think he's on pace to do that in 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was the bright spot last year, trial by fire right away. He had covered some of the league's best receivers. So, and he's coming from a pedigree of Stephon, who is one of the better receivers in the league. Growing up, whenever you want to play your best at something, you always play like your older brother or your older friends and see if you can run with those guys. He's been running with those guys his entire life. And I think last year showed that despite the fact that the number says 3, when you look at the defense and as bad as they finished last year, 3 interceptions feels like 9. You know what I mean? So I think that Diggs has a really good chance to obviously be the leader of this cornerback group that we have here. And I firmly believe that he's going to take that extra step this year because look, last year wasn't easy for him. You know what I mean? It was not easy. Trial by fire, like I said before. And I think there's, this year he has a lot of promise.
So this was a nice play from Trayvon Diggs. We saw a number of plays from different DBs all throughout practice on Tuesday. We're going to get to a clip right now of Kelvin Joseph. I want you to each pay attention, and each of you who are watching along, all of our loyal viewers, make sure you all do subscribe to the Blog on the Voice YouTube channel, by the way. We recently passed 10,000 YouTube subscribers, and you want to be one of them. But I want to know if you think this was holding or not on Kelvin Joseph. That happened quick. So I'm going to give you one more look at this. Pay attention to the hands, people, because, we got to practice. We've got to make sure everything's right. It is training camp, but hey, I mean, there are officials out there too. Sturch, holding, yes or no?
That ball's uncatchable. You don't call holding on that. No way. I looked at the 5 yards and contact was there, and then it kind of simmered off.
Danny says look good. Tom.
Good to meet you.
It will depend on the referee. Some might throw a flag. A lot of them are going to let that kind of thing go. Like Sturch said, it was high enough that I think that might have been ruled as non-catchable.
Nate Phillips says normal contact. I think that gets called. That's like I'm not saying I think that's a penalty, but if the game is does it get called in the NFL? I think it does. And I think that we're all pissed off. That's that's a really
that's a TV down.
Right. That's a really awful moment, assuming it happens. But still, nice to see Kelvin Joseph being aggressive. We haven't seen a lot from him, obviously, up until training camp. He's had a nice start himself as well. Had a couple of nice plays we've played and talked about here on the show. Different tip ball drill. Getting to another couple of rookies. This is a great moment here. You can't totally see Quentin Bohanna, but he had a great practice himself. Gets in Ben DiNucci's face. Not the hardest thing in the world to do, for being honest. And ultimately, Israel Mukuamu finds a way to get a PB. We've talked so much about how Dan Quinn loves these athletes, these long arms, etc. Mukuamu not able to come down with the interception, but still a nice play nonetheless. Interceptions can make or break a roster for these players, Tom. You think Israel's sick that this one didn't come down with him?
Oh, I think right now their attitude is anyone they don't get in their hands, it makes them a little bit sick because especially when you're in Mukwamu's position, he knows that every rep can make an impression on the coaches. And he knows that even though he got a PBU, well, yeah, it would have been really nice to get a pick there and kind of shine a little bit more. So, yeah, I think he felt a little bad about it.
Sturch, what do you like here? I mean, does this stand out to you? Like, you think this is just one play? You have, because we've lost sight of Israel Mukuamu, I think, if we're being honest, because we're all focused on Malik Hooker now. DeMonte KZ's making plays. Maurice Kennedy's making plays. We're gonna get to him in a minute too. But Israel Mukuamu kind of flying under the radar. This was kind of his first moment that he got noticed throughout training camp so far.
I tell you what, man, it's just the relief that we're breaking up passes in general. Like, you don't understand. Like, coming off of last year where we were seeing the back of the jerseys of our opponents a lot, guys getting behind it. He jumped the route. He made the play. Believe it or not, understanding that interceptions are the name of the game when it comes to defense in the secondary, but defensive pass breakups are a big stat nowadays. You know what I mean? So him getting that is definitely a great play. I don't necessarily know he gets his feet down if he does come down with that. So in any event, it's a defensive pass breakup. It's not a completion. That's a positive for the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, we've talked about some nice plays, but not necessarily turnovers, and that was kind of the theme today. Dak Prescott threw 3 interceptions. By the way, I think this is Sadiqa. Says hi, Blog on the Boys. What's up, Sadiqa? Shout out from Tom from Sturch from the Blog on the Boys universe. Let's see. Joseph says Dak was true trash caught today. No, he wasn't. He threw three picks. I mean, it's, Danny, by the way, Tom says, I'm sorry for showing my age, but I can't get excited in shorts and helmets. Everyone looks good. I don't think everyone looks good. I think some guys look really, really good. In fact, we mentioned Maurice Kennedy. This interception was really impressive from a guy who opted out last year.
Wow.
When was the last time you saw any interception like this on the Cowboys? Like, when? Like, I mean, I one more time, because it's impressive. Tom, I will set you up formally by saying I've watched a lot of Dallas Cowboys football with a defensive back wearing number 31 and never really saw any interceptions like that.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since we've seen that kind of play with that number. Yeah, that was the anticipation, the laying out there, the good hands, the pulling it in. You just can't help but feel good about that. And Kennedy is a guy that wasn't really getting talked about. He's now coming on as a bit of a dark horse to make the defensive backs. There seems to be a little depth back there, especially now that they've got Hooker. I think we might have reason to be optimistic about the secondary this year.
You really believe that, Tom? Are you just buying the training camp hype?
I hope not. Oh, good heavens! I really want to see these good things carry over. Of course, that's the big question: is do they carry over into the regular season? We won't know till it happens. But right now, everything feels really good with this team.
Sturch, people can listen to you every Monday on Jersey Boys on the Blog on the Boys podcast network, and you are generally a pretty optimistic person. Some would argue maybe you're too sunshiny when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. We have a comment here from Danny Savage who says, I'm sure last year we were saying Poe looks good in camp. Things did not work out with Dontari Poe and the Cowboys, but I guess make the case, or maybe come down to earth a little bit. Like, do you think it's fair to let our emotions run away from us? Do you think we should exercise some caution because of players that have excited us in t-shirts and shorts in the past? Or, I mean, like, how do you feel about the subject in general?
I honestly, when you're looking at this team, there is reason to get excited. I said this when the Quinn hiring happened, that as he sat in his coach's chair in his office, he was already a better defensive coordinator than Nolan. You know what I mean? Like, that happened immediately. And I think this defense has a different feel. They're attacking the ball. They're getting more guys that, fit the mold of Quinn. I know you mentioned that, some of the guys that we signed kind of followed him over from Atlanta. But the way I see it, when you sign a guy like Hooker, that means he fits the mold too. All these guys that they drafted in this year in particular, when they're taking like 44 defensive players in a row, what it felt like, you have optimism that they're addressing the need. And if you haven't felt that in a long time, and as far as me being optimistic is concerned on the Jersey Boys podcast, I have to be, considering my co-hosts are the ones that are just like, calm down, Dave. Like, this, stop going to the Super Bowl every year.
Tom is the optimist on his show. You can hear Tom every Thursday on the Blog on the Boys
Why don't
podcast
I believe
network. Riled Up with Roy White. Tom and Roy do such a great job. New episode coming tomorrow. By the way, Tom will be out in Oxnard himself starting on Friday. Tom, is that correct?
that's the plan. I catch my flight out on Friday. I'll be attending practice on Saturday, Sunday, and then Tuesday before I'll fly out for a little vacation time up in Oregon.
Tom's got a limo picking up. It's going to have a sign says Ryle. I mean, he's going to be chilling, hopping off the plane in LAX with a dream and a cardigan, if you will. But anyway, let's move on. So Maurice Kennedy had a really impressive interception. That's 2. We already discussed the one that Trayvon Diggs had. There was a third one, DeMonte KZ, whose name has come up. Both of you guys are like, oh, we shouldn't be excited about him. He's just an Atlanta guy. Nobody except for the 2 of you said that so far today. But DeMonte KZ had a moment, the third interception of Dak Prescott. And you're right, Tom, maybe hearing Malik Hooker's footsteps and saying, you know what? I do not want any part of that. I'll be honest. This is a pick 6, by the way, if it isn't obvious. In fact, we'll play it one more time so everybody can totally see this. It's my favorite interception of the 3. It's my favorite one. What Maurice Kennedy did was really athletic, but this is the most impactful in the game of football. Sturch, do you agree?
Yeah, when it comes to the game of football, absolutely pick 6 over anything. But yeah, the athleticism came in the prior one. This one, he just jumps the route, great ball skills, takes it the other way. The only thing I'll say about this interception is, Dak, please stop chasing him. It's okay.
What are you doing, dude?
Seriously. It's day 4, Dak. Everybody calm down. Like, please.
Tom, your thoughts. And in fact, if anybody happened to join in the last 10 seconds, let's give the interception one more play so Tom can give us his full authentic reaction. Would you have chased after him, Tom, if you'd been back?
I don't chase anymore at my age. So it's kind of, I'm not going to ask for that. But I love to see that anticipation again. He read the play. He saw it coming, jumped the route. My gosh, we have not seen nearly enough of that for a long time. That really has me a little bit excited. And to see it coming from the safety position. Oh, my goodness. We've needed so much of that. I'm really, I'm excited to see between KZ, done gone blank. But, let's throw come on, quit laughing at me. I'm
Hooker.
Over. Yeah, between him, Hooker, and then throwing Donovan Wilson in there, who got a lot of praise before practice for how he's playing from Mike McCarthy. I think we're going to see a different type of backfield in the defense for Dallas, and I can't tell you how excited I am.
So the Dallas Cowboys collectively last season, not the most impressive, season in the world when it comes to interceptions, had 10 interceptions as a team. Toddster brings up a question, and if you're watching live with us, some of you might be watching after the fact, you could still answer in the comments. We'll definitely get back to you in the comments as well later on in the coming days. But if you're watching with us live, answer the question along with us. Notes, Cowboys had 10 interceptions in 2020. Obviously, Trayvon Diggs had 3. He's asking for our prediction for number of interceptions in 2021 and who will lead the team. Because I'm super noble, I'll give you guys the opportunity to kind of think about this. I saw the question a minute ago, so I've had the largest amount of time to think about it myself. I will say I think Trayvon Diggs leads the team in interceptions again, because I think he's got the most tenacity of the group, although we're kind of seeing it a little bit, at least in the 4th training camp practice. Granted, that requires a lot of context. But I think this group probably, I don't know if they average an interception a game, and to be clear, they do have another game, so another opportunity to get more interceptions. I think we're looking somewhere between 13 and 15. If you told me the over-under was 13 and a half, I might take the over. If you told me it was 14 and a half, I'd stress about it. But maybe 14 is kind of where I'll sit tight. I think Trayvon Diggs, though, has maybe 6 on his own. I think I could see him doubling his total from last year. But 14 feels kind of right in my mind, because, again, they're not going to get one every game. They'll get multiple some game. They'll get skunked in other games. It's just kind of the way football works. They'll pile up a lot when they play Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jalen Hurts, and then, when they play Tom Brady, they'll have a blank sort of game. Tom, you go next. I
am gonna take the optimistic side here and think they're gonna get around 19, just a little bit better than an interception a game. Yeah. And I don't think necessarily Diggs is going to be the guy that leads the team, because I think teams are going to avoid throwing his direction. And that's going to let some of the other guys feed a little bit. I'm hard-pressed right now to say who might get the most interceptions, but
Well, the Toddster is pressing you, Todd. So Tom, you've got to answer the Toddster.
I'm looking for a big rookie year from Kelvin Joseph. I think he's going to surprise us, and I think he might be the surprise leader in interceptions just because he's going to likely be lining up opposite Diggs or coming out of the slot while people are staying away from Diggs, and Joseph might get to feast off of that a little bit.
Sturch, prediction for total number of picks and who leads the team.
You actually said the answer in your description of the over-under when you were like 14 seems right. Right will be the leader of interceptions. Nahshon Wright will lead this team in interceptions. I feel like the 14 is the right number. He's in the slot. I think he's going to – listen, we just saw Kennedy do it from that slot, like kind of hovering around in the zone defense type scenario. I think this kid's going to – look, I'm excited about him. I didn't like the pick when it happened, but now he's going to get a lot of picks, and it's going to make me happier.
In case anybody wondered why people say that Sturch is the optimist on Jersey Boys, I gotta
go outside the box. Like, come on.
This question has inspired me. So Toddster Saw wins MVP of the stream here at Blogging the Boys. Everybody, big round of applause for Toddster Saw, our MVP. This question has inspired me in the sense of I think Micah Parsons will contribute to this. And so, do either of you know off the top of your heads how many interceptions Leighton Vander Esch had his rookie season?
3.
Wrong. Tom.
No, I don't.
He had 2 interceptions. It felt like more in my mind. It felt like more. So over under Micah Parsons, 2 interceptions.
I say over.
Yeah.
So Nahshon Wright's going to lead the team.
And now it's an over and Micah Parsons. I'm telling you.
To be clear here, the over would have been good for the team lead last year with Trayvon Diggs. So, I mean, just to put that in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd be real lucky if Parsons matched LVE's rookie performance and got a couple of picks.
So, like a lunatic over here.
3 each. The lunatic says Micah and LVE will have 3 each. I'm about to flip the script on you guys myself. I think Micah gets 1. Just a single solitary interception. But I think the rookie linebacker that goes over LVE's 2 in 2018 is Jabril Cox. Because that is we've got here, DeLunatic said he is a ball magnet. That's the ball magnet. That's the better coverage linebacker. I'm not trying to, say Micah Parsons isn't great at all, but I could see Jabril Cox getting in situationally and things just kind of working out for him. And just being kind of the guy that the ball's fine, kind of a la Bruce Carter-ish, you know what I mean? Like kind of those days. Like I could see that kind of working out that way. That's a very good question. Can I make a bold prediction of where that 1 interception comes from? The Micah interception? For Micah, yeah. I think it comes in Philadelphia. It comes back in Pennsylvania. I think it comes against Tom Brady opening night. Ooh, Sturch, dude. I mean, he's not going to invite me back on next week. That's okay. Sturch, I mean, man, we just got to calm down a little bit here. Okay. So speaking of the linebackers, obviously it's training camp, so everything's going on. Some people are tempering themselves, some people are not. This was a video that I thought was really interesting. Shan Shariff from 105.3 The Fan tweeted this out and noted that Jaylen Smith was not pleased with the way he began this drill. So not trying to read into that line or that quote at all. What do you think of that, Tom? I mean, like, do you have a thought on that? Do you have a takeaway? I mean, do you have any sort of impression off of that?
I just don't know about Jaylen sometimes. I kind of admire the fact that he said that was a bad rep. Let me go back and hit it again and get it right this time. Sure. My gosh, you've been playing for how many years? Why didn't you get it right the first time? Coach Tom is not cutting anybody. He's gonna. Yeah, I'm waiting to see how Jaylen really comes out and how it stacks up into the regular season as far as starting linebackers. I think this is a really crucial year for him. People have talked about a lot of other players, but he needs to really prove that he's more than just the swipe and the sunglasses and all that stuff. we need to see something real from him, or the team needs to be making plans for what they're going to do without him, I think.
I think they made their plans. Their plans are Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox. You know what I mean?
And I think the question is, does it happen in 22 or later? And I think it's right now, I would probably bet that it's going to be 22 and they move on. But, Jaylen Smith, for me, he has to change my mind.
Little Sturch.
You just referred to me as Little Sturge, like Brett Ernst. Good, well played. Yeah. All right, so what I'll see about Jaylen Smith, you want to talk optimism? I don't have any. So as far as Jaylen Smith is concerned, what I do say is it looked like after that first drill, he pressed up and then he went to swipe, and then everybody got really upset again.
But real swipe, like not. Real, like a linebacker swipe, right?
Right, it's right. But look, Jaylen, and kudos to him. Kudos to the coaching staff who probably said, get back and do it again. I don't think he did that on his own, to be honest with you. I think they said, get back and do it again. He did it again. Look, there's a lot to prove now. You know what I mean? You light a fire under his butt, and I think that this is going to be good for him. I think, again, I don't keep saying, beating the dead horse of it can't get any worse. But look, he played really bad football last year. You know what I mean? That's not knocking him. That's just showing what he said. Check the tape, right? We all checked the tape, and it was bad news. So I think that this year in particular, he's got to bounce back because, as Tom said, there could be an out. I mean, look, he's a young player. Everybody loves his story, and it's great. But we got to get the best players on the field.
Tom, it's a very early prediction. Is Jaylen Smith the team captain?
I would be horribly disappointed. I just don't.
Then who should be the two defensive captains? Because I have the right answer, but I'm curious if you have an answer.
I would say Diggs.
And if you're watching, who should be the two defensive captains for the Dallas Cowboys? Please let us know your thoughts in the comments. You said Trayvon Diggs and DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yep.
Tom, you're challenging for MVP. That's the answer. Sturch, I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I was going to say that, or even, I mean, it's crazy, but even Donovan Wilson, just because he's been there. But yeah, no, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trayvon Diggs, 100%.
I think you could make an argument too for Micah. Like if you're that all in, you know what I mean? Like if this is the guy, like if that's, you know what I mean? Like you can make a more like symbolic, gesture in that sense, if you're the Cowboys. But I mean, I think DeMarcus Lawrence has to be a captain, especially with Tyrone Crawford. I think that's an underrated story. The Cowboys have lost so many leaders in the last couple of years. I mean, this season they lost Tyrone Crawford, Sean Lee. Last year, Byron Jones, Travis Frederick retires, Jason Witten leaves for the second time. I mean, so you've got a lot of leadership that's gone. So that. It's DeMarcus Lawrence's time. I will be disappointed if DeMarcus Lawrence isn't a captain, but it is what it is. And now one question before we exit the Jaylen subject altogether. Sip the True 34 says everyone on defense was trash last year. Why is Jaylen getting singled out? The whole defense was trash except for Diggs last year. I think this is true. I don't know if we're sipping that, but the reason is that none of the other defensive players are out there touting themselves as, being amazing. That's the reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jaylen is the one who brings that on himself, which is that's always been the issue with him. He's had great moments as an NFL player, but he has highlighted or rather exacerbated the attention on him because of what he's doing. Do you agree with that, Sturge?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he wasn't, look, every NFL player known to man has their own brand. We get it, but there's nobody that reminds you more about that own brand and than Jaylen Smith. He's making a tackle 10 yards down the field and he's swiping. And then there's a pass break up down 40 and he's asking Anthony Brown, hey, do our super duper handshake. Like, no, man, stop. Just get off the field. Get off the field. You know what I mean? Get off the field.
Tom, I want a super duper handshake. But do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I mean, he's the one that said watch the tape famously, like Sturch mentioned, and he's constantly pushing back on it. It's like he does not want to accept the responsibility, which really bugs me a bit.
Barrett, by the way, brings up the fact that McCarthy does rotate captains, but there are these symbolic kind of leaders. That was kind of the point I was driving. Okay, so the defense did win the day for anybody who missed it. Shout out to them. But the offense still had some moments. Today was kind of the first day that we saw some Blake Jarwin. Like Blake Jarwin has been kind of silent. Dalton Schultz has been getting all the love, rightfully so. I don't want to take away from that. But Blake Jarwin was seen. This pass is clearly out of bounds. But watch Blake Jarwin's legs. And the fact that he extends these is really the best news that we've seen from him in a very long time. Tom, does that feel good to see? Just see that I mean, it's Olympic time. You know what I mean? Just that
Yeah.
widespread motion from Blake Jarwin. Didn't start on pup. I mean, and now he's out here just like a gazelle. You know what I mean? Like, that's a really positive thing to see.
That's a big, heavy gazelle, but I will say that for a guy that went out in the 10th offensive play of the last season, that's fantastic to see. And I have seen a few other highlights of him, but what really struck me today was that the Cowboys aren't trying to figure out who tight end 1 is. They're trying to figure out who A and B are, because they've got him, and Dalton Schultz also had a nice touchdown catch. This is a level of depth at tight end that I don't remember in a long, long time. And it's with Schultz, it's proven. We saw it last year. He was one guy that didn't suck in 2020. He came on strong and really carried a load.
Sturch, when was the last time in your mind the Cowboys had 2 tight ends like this? That you felt this comfortable in options A and B? Obviously, it's really just a question of when the last time the Cowboys had a great backup tight end, because Jason Witten was so great. Again, I have the answer, but I'm curious what your answer is.
It's unfortunate. Rico? No.
Good times.
I know. I would say that the best tight end that we've had in a long time, backup tight end that we've had in a long time, Gavin Escobar. Escobar was the guy.
That's the answer. You guys are on fire with trivia today, baby. Well done.
Yeah, that's probably the last time we didn't, as Tom said, it suck. We had 2 tight ends.
He was still a second-round pick, which was a horrible utilization of resources. But 2014, his second year in the NFL, there was that, I think it was October 19th, 2014, had 2 touchdowns, and we all kind of thought like, okay, here he is. I mean, he was a pivotal player in that 2014 run. Even in 2016, his last year, we all talked so much about that Zeke walk-off win in Pittsburgh. The block that set him free was thrown by Gavin Escobar. I mean, let's just throw some love Gavin Escobar's way. That's all I'm saying. I mean, totally. But Tom, it is nice to have 2 stable options in Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin. Blake Jarwin, or you mentioned Dalton Schultz caught a touchdown. You did not mention that Blake Jarwin caught a touchdown today. That one looked like the first touchdown of the 2019 season, week 1 against the Giants, right down the middle. That's kind of where Blake Jarwin loves to operate. This is just so good to see, Tom. The fact that he wasn't on the PUP list was such a victory, especially after minicamp and not really being active there. I think it is, if there is a sector of the team to feel safe about letting the hype rock you, it's at tight end.
I agree fully. I think that I feel really good about this. And oddly enough, this is a year when they may not need a whole lot of tight ends, because you have to expect that they're going to be trying to get those wide receivers out on the field as much as they can. So you don't see this is going to be a lot of 12 personnel sets. But they may want to go to that sometimes, just because both Jarwin and Schultz do seem to be able to line up other than just as the inline tight end. They can split out a little bit and go downfield, work that seam, force them to cover them. So that opens up CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper or Michael Gallup.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really, that's the dream, right? Like, that's what we're all hoping. The Cowboys, I was going to say, have 5 great receiving options, but that would be a discredit to Cedric Wilson. I mean, there are, last week, Bill Barnwell ranked the cast of offensive players that each team has to work with in the NFL, that being skill position players, had Tampa Bay number 1, had Dallas number 2. I think that Blake Jarwin's role in that has been a little bit diminished this offseason, Sturge, but he does seem like he's on his way back in the right way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That full extension just goes to show you that he's good to go as far as on a health circuit. All I'm really going to say right now is I'm really excited for Kellen Moore. I mean, this guy, you talk about weapons, with a healthy quarterback and a healthy offensive line, he's going to be able that he needs to be. You know what I mean? Like, we need to see it this year. We need to see it right now. Kellen Moore, no more excuses. And, God forbid another catastrophic injury to anybody, but no more excuses. You have your full weaponry, and I think that Blake Jarwin adds that. I think that people that now have taken Dalton Schultz seriously will get a couple more bodies on him, and that's going to free up Jarwin. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of optimism around the tight end position, but also around this high-powered offense as a whole.
Yeah. Rico Gather's somewhere watching, not jealous at all, because he was definitely better than all of them.
That project.
So you both mentioned wide receivers, obviously, and today was a day that the defense dominated, so it's kind of hard to see the moments that receivers had. There weren't as many flashy plays from the receivers during Tuesday's practice, which is the purpose of our conversation here today. CeeDee Lamb did a CeeDee Lamb thing because that's what CeeDee Lamb does. He just floats. I mean, like he just floats. I mean, like
I didn't think it was possible to jump twice.
Watch it again. Like he just floats. How, Tom? Tom, you went to the greatest university in the world, Texas A&M University. I mean, how can you explain CeeDee Lamb's defiance of physics?
Well, it was off of the little subtle Michael Irvin type push-off that he had right there to create separation, which somebody mentioned there, which I thought that is great pro football receiving play when you get that little nudge that the ref really can't call on you. And, but no, he is a special player. And just like we've got our questions about who's really 1 and 2 at tight end, I mean, CD is going to be making us wonder who's really number 1 and 2 at wide receiver.
1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's true. Gallup, you can't count out, even though we had a scare from him today.
Well, actually, bringing that up, Michael Gallup had a moment. If you've never been to Oxnard, Tom is heading out there Friday. If anyone that says hi, Tom will hug and buy a burger. That's his promise. He's making it right now. But it's a Courtyard Marriott where the Cowboys are practicing. These are fields in the back there, 2 football fields, and the perimeter is fairly large, but because of all the COVID restrictions, there have been fences set up to avoid people getting too close, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Michael Gallup, just too much momentum took him towards one of these fences today. It's a chain link fence that does have like a barrier on top. That's the yellow thing you're seeing in all the videos. And I mean, just ran out of space. And well, I mean, we'll just play the clip. That clip was slowed down near the end, to be clear. He went over that a lot faster. Shout out to WFAA and Joe Trahan. But, I mean, a very scary moment. And I don't know that, like, you can say move the fences further back. Like, this isn't a regular occurrence. I'm not trying to justify the Cowboys setup of training camp stretch. I know you have an issue with that. And the field is its own issue. Just kind of a freak incident. But thankfully, Michael Gallup is all right.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine, but boy, what a scary moment. I mean, you're talking about my man is in a contract year. You cannot mess this up. You got to stay as healthy as possible. When I first saw the clip, I saw a different angle of like really dead on angle of him just going up and over. It's a scary thing. And you kind of wonder, like, where are these guys practicing? You know, like what it's like, it felt like it was a little league field. I'm seeing lunatic there with the knock in the wind. That's totally probably why he took a little while to get up and get his bearings, because when you're running full speed like that and then you get, there's no warning track. It's not baseball. You know what I mean? You're on your way.
Tom, I know you are quite nimble, so I'll ask you. I think I'm not a gymnast or a physical therapist or anything like that, but just common sense to me says that he kind of did the smart thing in kind of bending his knees and coming down that way instead of leaving his legs extended. You know what I mean? Because it's a little curvy there, a little bit uphill. I mean, he could have come down in any sort of angle. Like, I think the fact that he bent his knees in was really the wisest thing to do. Do you agree?
Well, he did an excellent job, I thought, of trying to protect himself once he realized that the collision was inevitable. I just was thinking that I would have been in the hospital for at least 3 nights of observation after something like that. But, of course, I wouldn't have been going that fast to begin with. My legs don't move that well. But, yeah, I just thought the way he came over, did the flip, got his feet back under him. These guys are not normal human beings. And I'm glad he was unhurt. I hope maybe they'll be a little bit more careful with him. Like Sturch says, it's his contract year. This is a big year for him, and he's going to be an integral part of the offense. So, I just hope that we don't see too many more of that. Unfortunately, this is training camp, and those bad moments are coming, and you hate to see them. They're a little bit inevitable.
Brian Bradford has said several times, Serge, they need to go back to the Star. They will be heading back to the Star, obviously, after the Oxnard portion of training camp is done and complete. They practice both. They have an outside field, they have an inside field, obviously, but set up a little bit, in a way that allows for, more runoff room, I suppose, more runway. And so that being said, but you're the one who had the take. You were when we were putting the show together, you were really upset about this field and the whole situation, the whole setup there.
I mean, first of all, yes, the Star is a $1 trillion facility, but it's also 110 degrees in Dallas right now. So let's not keep them there. That's why they go to Oxnard, where it's 75, sunny, and beautiful. You know what I mean? So the weather, I get that part of it, but Jesus, you got to get back to just be more careful. That's all. I just when I saw that clip and I saw that fence, I literally thought, where could this NFL team be practicing right now? It didn't make much sense to me. But again, we avoided it, and we'll avoid fade routes deep like that going forward.
A very scary moment. Always want to avoid injury. An unideal situation, obviously, in any situations. I wish I could learn more words. But speaking of injuries or just, that type of thing, Jourdan Lewis, not a participant in Tuesday's practice. Tom, are you concerned?
Not at the moment. A little bit of a surprise because we did actually get to see who was it that came in and replaced him. Now you've done call me blank. I'm having a bad time today, but the guy that came in and played the slot for him,
Kennedy.
Kennedy came in and had a very good day, which makes me feel like maybe they've got a little more depth at cornerback than we realized too. So that was kind of exciting in a good way. You don't like to see it because somebody is out and we don't really know what's going on with Jourdan, but it was good to see Maurice come in and have a good showing and show that he's ready to step up. Remember, he sat out with COVID last year. So
Maurice did, not Jourdan Lewis, just to be clear.
Yes, right. Maurice Kennedy sat out with COVID last year.
He opted out. Again, just to be totally clear.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Anything else you want to clear up? All right.
He's just protecting the brand, man. The next thing you know, tomorrow there's going to be an article. Jourdan Lewis had COVID. I mean, now I'm screwing it up.
Okay. Yeah, no, but it was good to see that they missed the guy that's nominally the starter, and they didn't miss a beat. They actually got really good performance from the next guy up, which is what the team needs, and we didn't see last year. Of course, they went so deep into it that it was hard to find the next guy up at sometimes, but it was really good to see him come on. And I think that like I said, this secondary, to me, that's one thing coming out of this. This secondary looks stronger than it's looked in how many years? How many years has it been since we've been able to go maybe too deep at each position and feel good about it?
I would push back on that. Not that I disagree, but I don't it's not like sunshine and rainbows to me. It's just the bar has been so low. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is still the weakest point of the roster, the secondary as a whole. It is markedly better than last year, than the year before, certainly. I mean, Daryl Worley's not out there. Nolan Carroll's not out there, right? Things are improved in that sense, but it's still weak. It is nice, to your point, Tom, that Jourdan Lewis cannot practice and we can still see other guys come up big. But part of the, that's the issue. Part of the three interceptions today, Trayvon Diggs, Maurice Kennedy, Damontae KZ, is that Trayvon Diggs stepped up. That's been the issue. And now there's that guy, there's that alpha that can lead the team, that can be the leader in interceptions, whatever, if the whole group isn't performing well. But Sturch, I mean, again, I'm not trying to say Jourdan Lewis can never miss practice, but just I'm not ready to be like this team's super deep at the corner position or the secondary position as a whole.
Yeah, no, after last year's performance, I don't care who's out there. I mean, it's just we need depth, and we do have it. Don't get me wrong. And it's optimism that, everybody gets on my case about being optimistic, but this is the weak point of this team. Jourdan Lewis, I'll call it how I see it. He's my favorite player on the defense. I love Jourdan Lewis. I'm a big Jourdan Lewis guy. Him missing practice today, I don't think it's the end of the world. I mean, I haven't really heard anything more significant than just not practicing. You go a couple days in a row, and then you could start worrying and say, all right, well, what's the deal? Do we have serviceable guys, backing him up? Sure. But I'm not in the serviceable world anymore. We need to have guys that can actually get up and play the position like Jordan Lewis can. And, him not being there for an extended period of time would definitely hurt this team.
Do want to give a shout out, I suppose, to Sadika Charles. We did a giveaway for anyone who's unaware. We gave away caps to 5 people after we passed 10,000 subscribers here on the channel. Sadika, you're asking if we got your email. We have not gotten your email address. If you can drop it in the comments, if you can shoot me an email. My email, in fact, I'll put that up here for you so you can see it. My email is rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. Nobody signed me up for anything weird, but this is for Sadika. If you want to take a screenshot of this, Tom, don't sign me up for Willie's coupons or anything like that. I'm already signed up.
This is for a hat?
Yeah, Sadika won a cap, and we're having an issue getting Sadika's email. We're all a family here, so Sadika, if you can, get us your email address, and we'll get your cap, your prize over to you. Last bit of news for us to discuss before we get out of here is on the subject of Jordan Lewis not practicing. He did practice today. However, it was reported just before Mike McCarthy spoke on Wednesday that Zach Martin has an ankle injury. He did practice, so clearly not that big of an issue. Tom, on a scale of 1 to 10, how panicked are you, with 10 being totally freaking out and 1 being Mai Tais on the beach?
Maybe a 3. Just anytime you talk about an injury with the offensive line, it immediately raises the hackles on the back of my neck. But, Martin has been, up until last year, the most durable of the offensive line, and I think he's going to be fine. I think they might be careful. They gave him supposedly a rest day last week, which may have been to give his ankle a chance to heal up a little bit. I don't know for sure about that, but it's a logical thing to speculate on. But I think he'll be fine. He's a probably, when he's healthy, he is the best football player they have on the field, if not that guy standing to his immediate left.
That's his left, not your left. That is
Yes.
Tyron Smith. Just to be totally clear, Tom. Again, don't get mad. I'm just, just lining things up.
I said his left.
The Lunatic says 2 definite future Hall of Famers in that pick, which is why they're so precious to us. Sturch, your 1 to 10 panic scale when it comes to Zach Martin having an ankle injury.
I just know how the year went last year when our offensive line just started dropping like flies. So I'm gonna put it at a 5 just because I'm only saying that because I literally saw what happened last year when they started dropping. I'm not saying Zach Martin's gonna drop, and I think Zach Martin's probably one of the best guards in football. So like not even just on this team, like in the sport. So we definitely need him healthy, upright. It's training camp, it's preseason. We know exactly what we have in Zach Martin. Let him rest, man. Let him rest. Get him off the field. If he's even just a little bit of a nagging injury, I don't want him out there right now. I don't. We'll be fine without him while we practice. Everything's going to be fine if you just let him, rest a little bit.
So I want to mention that I'm totally fine with giving Zach Martin time off because I want to see these other combinations. And I want to see this offensive line get weird. I do certainly want to see them operate as a consistent group, but we're way too early on. I mean, the first preseason game isn't even for 9 days at this point, at least at the time that we're streaming here live. But I mean, we've heard that and we've seen that Connor Williams is taking reps as the backup center. Mix it up. Let's get Connor McGovern involved here. You know what I mean? Like let's see what Connor McGovern looks like, because at this point we're super deep into Connor McGovern's NFL career. And if he can't hack it at either guard spot, if he gets opportunities at right guard with Zach Martin out, I mean, all the more power in the world to the art of education and the art of understanding and gleaning information, because that's what we need to learn. And so if you also accomplish getting health and rest for Zach Martin in the process, that's a true 2 birds, 1 stone idea in my mind, Tom.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe we'll see a bit later on, particularly when we get into the preseason games, some of the even deeper guys that they're hoping to develop, like Ball and Farniok, and see how they're coming along, and see how Brandon Knight's coming with the transition inside. A lot of stuff to be looking for there. I did see a few plays where, Terrence Steele got beaten on when he was in pass protection and stuff. So, he needs some more work, and we've got to sort out that whole swing tackle situation. So, yeah, rest Zach, and let's use it as an opportunity, not as a detriment.
Sturch, generally speaking, this Connor Williams at center thing is a backup option, right? Like it's Tyler Biadish's job, whatever. And nobody's trying to come for that. Do you have any want towards seeing Connor Williams start at center? I mean, would you want to see that? And obviously that was heavily contingent on Tyler Biadasz maybe not being ready, whatever. I suppose then, left to right, you'd obviously have Tyron and then maybe McGovern, Connor Williams, Zach Martin, and Lyle Collins. Does that interest you? I guess it depends on who you believe in more, Biadasz or McGovern. But I mean, there's an argument in a season that is so important when your quarterback obviously, was hurt last year to the point that it completely damaged your season. There's an argument to wanting to see the more experienced player play center more often than not.
Yeah, it interests me. Don't get me wrong. Like it's something I definitely have thought about after I saw the Mike McCarthy press conference yesterday when he said that Connor Williams would be taking reps at center, and that's great. And I think it's interesting if McGovern is up to speed. You know what I mean? Like I love Tyler. I'm a big fan. He reminds me of a younger Travis Frederick, but he just has to get on the field and prove that. Size wise, I think it's going to be there. He's definitely bigger than Connor Williams. But again, I think it's interesting. I don't hate it. I just want everybody healthy, man. I know it sounds ridiculous and so cliche, but I'm cool with any combination as long as these guys are upright and they're not, in the tent.
Tom, do you have any interest in seeing that combination of offensive starters along the offensive line?
I just want the best center out there they can get.
See, now you're flirting. Now you're flirting with best five. Best five yielded us Chaz Green at left guard. So let's be careful. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah. What's your? But I get your point. But so do you have any desire to see that, or you simply at a point of like, I really don't care who the five are. Just I want the best five offensive linemen out there. Purely best five.
Well, yeah, because saying Chaz Green was the best five at any time was always an absolute miscalculation. Yeah, I would rather see Biadasz get the start, and just because Williams, I think, is better at left guard than people give him credit for, and I don't want to have to mess with that. And I think Williams at guard is a better option than McGovern at guard. So to me, the dominoes falling that way would just make me want to see Biadasz stay in the starting job.
Yeah. I mean, either way, Biadasz is part of this team's future one way or the other. Because barring an incredible season, I don't think this team's re-signing Connor Williams in 2022. But, anything's possible, obviously. So it is what it is. Sturch, last takeaways from the fourth practice that the Dallas Cowboys have had so far in training camp. For anyone that does not know, you have somehow missed it. We do videos after every single Dallas Cowboys practice with discussion, analysis, highlights, etc. So, Sturch, your complete total takeaways from day numero cuatro.
I think everybody needs to just pump the brakes with the whole Dak Prescott throwing 3 picks thing. I think that this is a plus for the defense, and that's that's the group that just let us down completely last year. It's one thing not to have your quarterback last year, but the defense was just atrocious. So the fact that they're playing, stepping up, jumping routes, pass breakups, all that jazz, even forced fumbles, the things happen. The defense is around the ball. You got to get excited about that part of it. But again, let's not read too much into the Dak Prescott interceptions. Like Tom said earlier, he's probably going to try to force a couple in there just to try to make some plays, see if his boys can come up and step up. And if they don't, they don't. But just let's not get crazy about Dak Prescott's interceptions. But let's just get excited about the secondary.
Tom, your big takeaway from day number 4.
Well, I want to add something that hasn't been mentioned, and I saw a couple people asking in the comments.
Tom, the people's champion.
Yeah, to me, my draftee, Quentin Bohanna, had 3 standout plays today.
We played one. What do you mean we didn't mention it, Tom? Jeez,
yeah,
I know you got upset I was speaking for a little bit, man.
But as they said on that play, he would likely have had a sack to begin with, and the pass would have never gotten off. Second, he had a ball batted at the line, so he had a pass breakup showing some of his length there. Third, he tracked down Tony Pollard on a running play. A guy 330 pounds running down Tony Pollard, that gets my attention. That says this guy is not just a big body. He's an athletic, fast-moving big body. And that's kind of exciting to see some things developing with the defensive tackles, which I think there's a lot more going on. And good news, the pads come on, we're going to get a lot better read on what's going on the lines, because that's when they can really be evaluated.
think that's a great point, Tom. I mean, again, the fact that he tracked down Tony Pollard, we all regarded him as this one tech trash can, just run stopper, plug in the middle of the defense type of thing. It's his athleticism has been touted and it's been established, and so it's on display. You're right. He's not just your classic just sit him there and just blow up run plays up the middle. He can move laterally, and we've seen that so far, and that's really exciting. And so I think that's a great pick by you. In this contest, to pick a takeaway, sorry, Sturge, Tom wins.
That's it.
But for me, since you guys clearly asked, my big takeaway.
RJ? What is your takeaway from
my big takeaway from practice number 4? I love Dalton Schultz. Don't get me wrong. He's also a streamer like us. The guy is a video game streamer. He's big into that. I think that's super great. But we have, I don't want to say crowned or anointed him as tight end 1 because that sounds like I'm coming from a place of bitterness. I just think we've forgotten about Blake Jarwin, and Blake Jarwin hadn't gotten his chance so far in camp. And that's a really exciting thing, as we talked about, towards the overall cause, not just the cause of tight end, the cause of the offense as a whole. And it's exciting for next year. I mentioned, I don't think the Cowboys re-signed Connor Williams. I don't think they re-signed Dalton Schultz. I mean, because I think he probably gets an offer somewhere else, at the very least for more money, but for more opportunity, just because there are tight end hungry teams in the NFL. And so I really, really am so happy and so pleased to see what the Cowboys have going on at tight end in general. I'm pleased with Quinton Bohanna. I'm with you, Sturch. Everybody relax on Dak Prescott. And to Dak, relax too. We don't need you chasing down these interceptions. Seriously.
Slow down.
I mean, last thing we need is Quinton Bohanna moving at blazing speed like Tom's talking about, and Dak Prescott in the way. We don't want to see
Larry Allen vibes.
predictions, because we will have a recap video after Wednesday's practice that does feature pads. Last thing before we leave, Sturch, prediction for day 1 with pads.
I think that Dak it flips the script. Dak drops a couple dimes and people start like, oh no, what about the defense? You know what I mean? So I think that Dak flips the script in the first day in pads.
Tom.
For day 1 in pads, I think we're going to see some Micah Parsons shining a little bit, coming in on blitzes and stuff.
I like.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
So I don't know if he'll practice. So I'm not going to go with something Malik Hooker related. It's still a little bit too early. But I'll go this direction. This is really cliche, and so I'm sorry. There's a fight. I think we got our first skirmish of camp. The tempers have been flaring. We've heard, the offense won, the defense won. You know what I mean? We're seeing all that. And how many players have said, Neville Gallimore said after practice, that's when training camp really starts. And the jawing is getting there. We saw that in some of the clips we played. So I could definitely see, Tom, you're super popular, man. Everybody's blowing you up right now. But
it was the ice cream man.
I could really see things getting a little testy in a good way. That's what's been so great to see, is the competition that's happening throughout this team so far throughout camp. Tom Ryle, you can follow him on Twitter at TomRyleBTB. You can hear him on the Vlog on the Boys podcast network on Thursdays on Riled Up with Roy White. Dave Sturchio, you can follow him on Twitter at Dave Sturchio. Check out Chop Sports and everything they do. All the podcast Sturches everywhere these days. You can hear him on the Blog on the Boys podcast network on Mondays on Jersey Boys. I'm RJ Ochoa. You know me from Blog on the Boys as well. We work very hard to make sure that you, the Dallas Cowboys fans, just like us, are caught up on all things America's team, because we are just as obsessed with this stuff as you. So we take that job very seriously. Thanks, everybody, for joining our live stream. We'll have another video on Wednesday, another video on Thursday. It's football season. We are very pumped about it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great time. We'll see you next time.